How about we all agree right now to attempt to take into our own hands one idea that we have had for a new product? Instead of you know what someone should make, we say you know what I am making. Everyone has had dozens or even hundreds of ideas for great products that one day pop into our heads and we never revisit. That is, never revisit until we see years later that someone else had the same idea and are making something of it. What if we picked just one idea, the best one, and followed through on it? Well, I decided that after selling my last business, a hands-on residential window cleaning company, that I was going to give it a go with what I deemed my best and simplest $1,000,000 idea. It will likely never make me near that amount of money, but in my mind it still qualifies for the title. Although you may not know it, you are living in a great time in history. This is a time when the internet has made many storefront, brick-and-mortar businesses unnecessary. Everyone now has the ability to own their own virtual storefront on the web at almost no cost. And what if you are not a web designer? There are community education classes in almost every reasonably sized town, and many of the classes are free. My wife and I have taken advantage of these classes over the years to learn things like Microsoft Excel, search engine optimization, getting Google to find your site and rank it, well, pay-per-click online advertising through Google, Yahoo, etc., and a bunch of other cool stuff. In my opinion, anyone that says they can start their own business today is either uninformed or just plain lazy. And how about that idea you have for a new product? 3D printing will work for a lot of them. I didn't know the first thing about creating a product from scratch, so I looked up inventors groups on the web and went to a local meeting. There were people there willing to lend help with prototyping, funding, marketing, and every other aspect of the journey. The place was a gold mine. One of the many people I talked to at the meeting suggested that I look into 3D printing to begin playing around with my product. I almost laughed when he said this, because I thought it was something out of a sci-fi movie. It exists, and chances are you have access to it, too. I found a local pay-by-the-month workshop only a few miles from my home that had multiple printers. For $50 I could use the printers as much as my heart desired for 1 month. The next day I read product reviews for cheap CAD software and bought a program for $100. I later learned that I could have used high-end CAD software on the workshop's computers for free. 3 days later, after watching the program's tutorials online, I had my first virtual prototype. Just hours after getting a 10-minute walkthrough at the workshop on how to use the 3D printers, I had a product in my hands. 20 or more years ago, I would have had to remortgage my house and cash in my kids' college funds in order to make something like this happen. I would have had to pay engineers thousands of dollars to design and machine my prototype, only to have to make a small change and do it all over again. With the local workshop's 3D printer and my 00 software, I can do this over and over many times a day at very little cost. While I probably went through 20 different prototypes before I got something I was happy with, it was admittedly really fun. I don't have any history working with machinery or computers other than surfing the web like everyone else, but truly found it enjoyable to be creating something three-dimensional on the screen in front of me, then printing and touching it a short time later. Because I don't have the $10,000 to set up injection molding, but really wanted to start selling my product, someone recommended watching YouTube videos on making parts from silicone molds. The videos made it look easy enough for someone that likes to fiddle around with clay and a glue gun, so I tried it. Like everything, it took some practice, but after a few weeks I was able to make hundreds of finished parts for pennies on the dollar, and again, had a great time doing it. Of course, your town might not have the same workshop I use, but I guarantee that you have a 3D printer much closer than you imagine, and with a little persistence, you can find and use it. Just the number of people I have met in the past months that own a 3D printer is staggering. I would suggest that if you absolutely can't find one to use, you make a post on Craigslist stating that you are willing to pay someone to print parts for you. Or just go the slightly more expensive route and pay a rapid prototyping company to print and mail you your parts. I had a couple of these done for the heck of it, and at 0 to 00, they were beautiful. Now I understand that your $1,000,000 idea might be made out of fabric or cork or recycled toilet paper tubes, but the lesson is still there. Be creative, utilize the web, search out free education and inventors groups to help you. All the information you need is out there, and the process is much easier than you think. Right now I have a pile of a few hundred parts staring me down, just waiting to be sold through my new website. I expect it will take a few weeks or months to get them selling, but using what I learned from my free community ed classes, I should be able to sell a few before I grow old and feeble. That will be success enough for me. Remember, it doesn't take a huge corporation with deep pockets and a team of engineers to produce new ideas. You can do it too. But for God's sake, get off your butt and do it now. All the tools and skills you need are there for the taking.